No, it is not the Batmobile on display at an auto show. This is the new look of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS category. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Road America for the final race of this Pirelli World Challenge Road America Grand Prix weekend presented by Cadillac. And there is the field about to set sail for their 12th round of the championship. And I'll tell you, it was a stunning race that unfolded yesterday. Blunted at the end with an incident that ended up having it finish under caution, but I think it would have been a spectacular final few laps, and we're looking forward to this one. You saw there Martin Barkey in the MBRP car, that's the KTM Crossbow, starting with him on the front row on the pole, a similar car, this from Onsa Motorsports, the number 13 KTM Crossbow of Brett Sandberg, who had an issue during the race, but had an awfully effective lap prior to that unfolding. So we've got an all-Crossbow front row, Cal, and for the second day in a row in the GTS category, we look at where our points leader and four-time champion Lawson Aschenbach starts. It's deep in the pack.
It is very deep in the pack. He'll roll off from the 18th grid position with the suspension failure yesterday. They tried to get the car fixed, which they did, but unfortunately by the time they got Lawson out there, because your grid position today is established by your fast lap yesterday, we went yellow. He couldn't lay down a fast lap, so he starts at the very back. And with that pole position, actually, Brett Sandberg leapfrogs over Lawson. I know we don't award them till the end of the race, but he's going to get them.
Right.
And he's actually 1 point in front of Lawson now, and he's at the other end of the grid. So it could be a big weekend for Brett Sandberg in the championship, despite suspension failure for him yesterday.
What a swing. I mean, we saw at Lime Rock where Lawson actually got involved in a wreck with Brett and managed to stretch his lead. Now it flip-flops like that. And one of the guys that's suddenly back into it, only 58 points out of this battle, is Nate Stacey.
He's right in it because the top three in the championship, Sandberg, Aschenbach, and Chase, all had difficulties. Chase had that off in the carousel, managed to finish, and he's within 9 points of the lead as well. So you got three drivers within 9 points. Stacey there, 50-plus points back. So he was the big winner basically yesterday in terms of the championship picture.
That's going to be, I think, a great battle for the rest of the year here. And as always, folks, joining us here on our global web feed, we're going to be building our CBS Sports Network show as well. So I'd just like to remind you might have the odd layout, a little bit of quiet time while we're talking, and every once in a while we'll just pause and make a transition change as we come back for our CBS Sports Network coverage. I see Jeff Lepper down there on the grid in the blue shirt. And it looks like they are getting ready to do the start command. And a special guest doing the start command here this weekend, seven-time Pirelli World Challenge champion and newly appointed Road America board member, one Peter Cunningham. Will be setting this field on the way. And then, of course, it will be led out by this machine, the Cadillac ATS-V pace car. Just a great partner, Cadillac, and they lead this around. And, of course, as we see the signal, 1 minute to getting this one going here. This is a standing start, and I've been pretty impressed with how some of these GT4 cars have been able to launch this season. That was a big question mark.
Yeah, it really was unknown territory for a lot of these manufacturers to go through that process, but everyone seems to be getting off the line pretty cleanly, as no one is really having any major drama, and I don't think there's as many electronic aids incorporated into this GT4 machinery like we saw last year with the GT3 cars that really seem to struggle with everything going on there. So it's a good fit, and it's a little bit different dynamic, and certainly Lawson Aschenbach starting from the back, he needs to launch really well, try and gobble up as many positions as he can on that opening lap.
All right, folks, we're going to pause for a minute, and we'll be right back on CBS Sports. And there's the signal. The engines are coming to life for this field of machinery. Almost 20 cars strong and about as varied a group of machines as you could imagine, and they are going to be following out that Cadillac and making their installation lap, taking their spots on the front straight here at Road America for a standing start, leading into 50 minutes of racing for round 12 of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship. On the front row, Cal, all KTM Crossbow. Pretty impressive as you watch that Cadillac ignite and really put on a show. We absolutely love that. And thank you, Mr. Harple, who's the driver of that car. He always gives us a show at the last race of the weekend. But we had talked about it before, Cal. Who would have thunk coming into Road America, of all places, that it would be KTM Crossbows with little 2-liter engines sweeping the front row?
I know, and they were in with a big shot yesterday. Martin Barkey finishing on the podium, possibly with the strongest car when we got that full-course caution at the end. So he's looking good starting from the front row. Championship leader now, Brett Sandberg. He won't get awarded the points until the end of the day, but he got 7 bonus points for the pole. That puts him 1 in front of Lawson Aschenbach. And the big story is, of course, Aschenbach starting at the very tail end of the field today.
Yeah, it means the guy that'll have a good view of Lawson is this Cadillac Escalade, our official safety vehicle from our great partner at Cadillac. And just so you know, Scott Heckert in a Sin and Scott Dullahite, hopefully feeling a little bit evil today, will be able to get after it here and put on a great race. So while the field is out on their installation lap, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back for the start here at Road America. With you here on the web, of course, is the field working its way around on this installation lap. And tell you, we just had the Indy cars had a very fast, long race unfolding here. And with the rain we had yesterday, the track started in vastly different conditions. Talked to a couple of drivers that ran in the GT race earlier, and they said the track was extremely different than what it had been. And now you've got different rubber down on the track. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody adjusts.
Absolutely, it's very much a guessing game. It's up to the drivers now to obviously deal with it. They do have some small tuning they can do inside the car with adjustable sway bars and the lights and brake bias, but essentially you've got what you've got, and you just have to go out there and do the best job with it. But certainly the track is in great shape right now. It's perfectly bone dry, of course. Sun has been shining for a number of hours now. We had a lot of inclement weather earlier this morning, heavy downpour of rain, which did wash that rubber off the racetrack. But again, different tire brands running here this weekend, so it's certainly always adjustment is what's needed.
And even though the temperature isn't particularly high, about mid-80s out there, the humidity is thick. And this is going to be an interesting challenge for these cars. And you can see, obviously, some of these cars are so aerodynamic that it's difficult to get air moving through these cars. So these guys are working out in a sauna for about 50 minutes here, and it should be interesting to see which one of them is going to play. We talked about the speed we've seen from some of these cars here. Jeff Courtney having a very, very good weekend. This is a track he knows well. It's home, and he had a strong fifth place qualifying run, and again, that's based on the fast lap during the race, and had a problem at the start but fought his way up into 8th at the end of it. So looking to see him. And Derek DeBoer, yesterday's winner, had an amazing drive, but only was able to sneak in the 6th quick lap, so he's got a little bit more work to do today. And the field now coming out of Canada Corner, so we're going to pause and we'll be right back with our CBS coverage. And the field making its way out of turn 14. Welcome back as we are set to go racing here as they come up to take their positions for the standing start. Here's a look at our Kia Quad Box featuring some great onboard shots from the Replay XD cameras. And boy, do they tell the story sometimes. It is amazing the images that they provide for us. So there's a look at the Kia Quad Box and this climb up the hill. And with a field the size of this, most everybody, Cal, should at least be able to be on relatively flat portion of track, not trailing down that hill, which makes things doubly tough.
Exactly. There's a little bit of a crest there that some of the tail end of the field may have to adjust to, but I think the man who's really got to try and make hay here is Lawson Archenbach. He really has to eat some of those cars up, at least get through to the mid part of the pack here by the end of this first lap.
Yeah, this has just salvaged some points here this weekend. In the next round of the championship, as you look at our Cadillac Escalade, Mid-Ohio, that's a track where those Camaros have traditionally been good, so he just needs to get out of here with something. And as always, watch for that green flag to fly at the back, which just signifies that the grid is clear. And then those black light boards on the left side of your screen, just above the pit wall, you'll see the red light come on at the back of that. And when it goes out, we go racing. And there is the signal. The grid is clear. So the start sequence now begins. Watch for those boards. Those are the wheel-in lights. There they are. Revs are up. We're ready to go racing. We are racing. Oh, and a slow getaway right at the front. Dullahite, a superb start down to the inside of Martin Barkey. And here comes DeBoer on the outside, Cal.
Yeah, Heckert there had a bit of a slow start. Courtney tried to take advantage of it. A nice start for our pole sitter, Brett Sandberg, exactly what he needed. Now we're looking at the back of the field there. You can see Archenbach. He's right with his teammate, Tony Gaples.
And Gaples should probably just open that door up and let him come on through. He does exactly that. Not quite the start that Lawson wanted, but it's early in the lap. But Dullahite jumping into second. Great launch in that Lotus.
And he had a lot of pace here yesterday. His car looked really strong. He started to get a little bit more aggressive later in the run. And he's looking to the outside. down the moraine sweep. Here they come down into our stop deck break zone. Sandberg takes it in deep. Barkey goes with him.
Barkey, I think he was defending for a minute on Heckert, and it gave him a great run to the inside and realized I might be able to do something with this. But now, is he going to have enough inside up into 6? They're side by side through 6, Cal, and that is usually what happens there. Dullahite around, Barkey off track, Heckert off as well.
There was a brush there, yeah. I would imagine that Barkey probably had to use a bit more of the road than enough to give Dullahite some room. And it looks like Heckert was involved as well. Big shake up at the front.
And here, Ernie Sanders working hard.
He's taking advantage. That's going to be for the third spot inside of Courtney going into the carousel.
Boy, he got it done too, didn't he? And that left Courtney hung out a little bit. And here comes Mantella, and that may have been a touch.
The second of the two Mantella Autosport crossbows very much in the battle at the front right now. Hopefully there's no damage to some of those cars that went for the trip through the gravel trap there up into turn 6.
I talked to Mantella, and he said, obviously this car is faster than I'm driving it because Martin has been wicked quick. I've got to find it and just go for it here. And here we go, side by side, Aschenbach trying anything he can to come up. Big double move there, and he gets through.
He does, and at the same time, Mantella made a nice move around the outside into the brake zone for Canada corner.
This is now what they call the Billy Mitchell turn. Used to be the bridge there. And with that, it looks like Zabor now suddenly finds himself up in second with everybody in front of him spinning off. There's the 45 of Buford, and he has Lawson Aschenbach right on his 6 right now.
Well, certainly for our pollster, Brett Sandberg and championship leader, got the start he needed, got the first lap he needed. He's got a nice cushion there. Derek DeBoer was very strong here yesterday, taking the victory. His car was really good into the brake zones. They tested here a few weeks ago.
And look at Courtney, he's feeling Clennon locking up.
Yeah, I think he may have almost dropped the left side tires there into the brake zone for turn 1, pushing hard. Stacy now tries to come back at it down into the brake zone for 3.
Is he going to get inside? I think he realized that wasn't on, and that's really, he had to pinch that entry, Cal. That's going to slow his exit, and it slowed up Buford now. It looked like Aschenbach got a great run.
Yeah, up to the 9th spot. We said he needs to try and get halfway through the field. That's exactly what he's done from his grid position on that opening lap. It's all about damage control. Championship contenders when you're having a poor weekend, but look at Aston Martin right behind him.
Max Riddle, who is, when the car's been working, he has been super quick, but he has had some issues in terms of some cam sensor problems, but it reared its head again. He had a problem in qualifying. He came back in yesterday's race, but it is a quick car. But the guy who's impressing as well, too, right now is Ernie Francis. But there is your Optima Batteries Best Standing Start Award winner, Lawson Aschenbach. Not a huge surprise here. He came from 18th on the grid and now sits in 9th. So from where he started, he's gone through about half of that field in front of him.
He has. He's had a great start. Jay Buford right in front of him. He's a man who finished in the runner-up position here yesterday and felt if the race had actually gone green the whole way, he may have had something for our winner and leader at that point, Derek DeBoer.
And watch for it here as Aschenbach not able to do anything with Buford as they head through the kink. Buford, though, getting a bit of a run on the 14 of Stacy. See what happens as we get down into Canada corner. Does he look to make a move? Stacy sensed it coming, shifted a little bit. Buford, late if he was going to do it, couldn't get it done. So at this stage in the early going, it's Brett Sandberg in the KTM Crossbow over Derek DeBoer in the Aston Martin, and Ernie Francis driving the Mustang. That's your top 3. We'll be right back. And as we come back with you here on the web, Jeff Courtney, though, we just talked about how strong Ernie Francis has been, and Courtney really got the bit between his teeth. This is his home track. He loves this place. That Maserati gets around here well. And but we know Ernie Francis is not always the easiest young man to pass.
Now, that Maserati will certainly handle very well that long wheelbase around these sweeping turns here at Road America, and obviously Jeff knows the racetrack very well as Aschenbach continues to keep the heat on Jake Buford, battling over the 8th position right now as he tries to make a move on Nate Stacey as they head down that moraine sweep once more.
Oh, and Aschenbach tucked way in behind. Look at this side-by-side right now for that 3rd spot, but unfortunately for Courtney, he's on the outside. Can he do the over-under up the hill?
We talked about that stop tech brake zone. You can do that. It's a great battling position.
You have to be farther alongside Jeff with his experience, realize that, and tuck back in. But now Anthony Mantella has joined that battle in that Gulf Mantella Autosport crossbow. Here's a look at Aschenbach still trying to figure out a way through. Courtney this time down to the inside into turn 8. Not quite enough. Ooh, Ernie, big lurid slide.
He's going to have to try and manage that a little bit better. You're not going to throw that car around for 50 minutes at Road America and keep the tires underneath you. So he's battling hard to maintain that third position right now. But I think the other drivers will look at that and say that will only be a matter of time.
The only issue is that it looks to me like Ernie might not be as quick as those two guys behind him. And they're watching Sandberg and DeBoer just drive away right now. So there is some urgency to it, isn't there?
Absolutely. And for Sandberg, I think he's really got good pace in that race car. Had some issues yesterday, got a bump on the opening lap. That bent with the wishbone eventually failed. He also, with and off in turn 3 on the opening lap, had some electronic transmission issues. So if he's got a healthy race car, he may be tough to beat. Clennon really wide there off of Canada.
Yeah, Buford had got down underneath him in the brake zone, and I think it just got Clennon offline a little bit. Lawson was able to go through as well. And meanwhile, back to this battle. Boy, it is fierce. Welcome back to Road America, and look at the battle for the third spot. Ernie Francis Jr. is under attack by both Jeff Courtney in that white Kenda Rexstuff Maserati and the blue and orange Gulf-sponsored KTM crossbow of Anthony Mantella. It has been an absolute war, and Nate Stacey, the way they've been battling, Nate comes up into the fray.
He looks to the inside of Anthony Mantella, but that crossbow has great grip, as you can see. Fires it around the outside. Holds on to that 5th spot right now. Ernie Francis literally been driving the wheels off his Mustang here, trying to hang on to that 3rd position.
And as he tries that, he gets moved a little bit, and Buford steams down the inside, takes that spot away, Cal, going into turn 3, and now Aschenbach glued to the back of, boy, this is just phenomenal stuff. Stacey is in a sandwich here.
Courtney's got the inside run. He's got the inside run now down into the stop tech brake zone. He should be able to make this one stick. He tried the undercut on the previous lap, couldn't make that work.
Now Ernie's going to try the undercut, but there, that wiggle, that car is already dancing hard.
You could see there when you got steering input in the car and you're trying to get on the accelerator a little bit quicker than the guy in front of you. That's what's going to happen. You have that little twitch there. Buford really showing great poise and patience. I think he's got a lot of speed in that Sin chassis. He's just going to have to bide his time here and wait for the 50 minutes to run out and try and get to the front.
Yeah, he's quickly caught Mantella. Now Aschenbach takes a look at the inside of Nate Stacey down into turn 8. Wasn't quite there. And as we're watching Lawson Aschenbach work this attack on young Nate Stacey, Lawson is carrying our iBox suspension cam, so let's go on board and look at the loading that goes through that car. I mean, just the carousel enough when you're in that corner for as long as it is. That suspension better be spot on.
It better had be, and the driver better be spot on through this corner, the kink, and you're going to use those rumble curbs there on the exit, putting everything on the line, literally.
And Lawson, oh, look at this. Buford trying to get down Mantella, and Mantella drifted over. I think partly to protect, but also to see what he could maybe do.
Yeah, kind of the gray area there. I mean, I think the stewards will maybe be looking at that one closely, and if he does something similar, maybe give him a warning at least. You know, he's in a battle, he's looking ahead, but he's also got to be aware of someone making a move on him. So he'll probably say, well, I just looked to the inside of Ernie there, and that took the path away from Buford, who's making a run to the inside of me.
All right, we're also hearing that Mantella's teammate, Martin Barkey, who of course had that off when he got involved with Dolomite up into turn 6, that Barkey in his attempt to come back to the field, he's been given one warning for track limits at this point. So I'm sure he's a little bit frustrated because he knew just how fast that car was based on what he had done yesterday. And now to be at the back of the strain, I'm sure is driving him absolutely mad at this point.
Yeah, that incident on turn 6, actually, Scott Dolomite, we're understanding he has suspension damage. I'm not sure we're going to see any further action from the Lotus here today.
Oh, man, they have endured so much already here. And now Buford
nice
trying
move.
to but then he dropped that right, and that just gave that car a big
Barkey
wiggle.
takes that crossbow into stop tech brake zone.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
But Buford gets a better run out, and this might be the over-under he was looking for. And he's cleared Mantella up into 6.
We talked about it, the drag race up to turn 6 out of our stop tech brake zone. It's such a fun part of the racetrack, and that's why there's a massive crowd sitting there all weekend long for all of the races.
Well, and it really gets to what we were talking about in that. It's not just the braking zone into it, it's controlling it and not being slow up that hill on the out.
See Hackett here in recovery mode as well. Kind of the big surprise this weekend is that the Genettas do not have a little bit more pace here. They seem to be struggling, as we can see them, towards the tail end of the pack today.
Yeah, it's certainly hurting Parker Chase, who's running this series now full-time based on how strong a run he's having. His young teammate, Barry Gottsacker, is doing a full global rally cost program, and when there's conflict, he has to go there. But it's been struggling. Francis crossed up through the kink. You don't hear that often with a good outcome.
That'll get his attention, and the guy's right behind him as well.
Down into Canada corner. Buford looks. Nothing there at this point. So is Ernie Francis. Woo, big slide there. But he manages to hang on to it. So while we're watching this battle, and I can't really say it's settled, but we're going to have to just step away for just a second, but we'll be back. Oh, there's a spin by Gottsacker right as Mantella dove to the inside of Ernie Francis as well. And Gottsacker's facing the wrong way at Canada corner. And smart move. He's watching those corner workers, but he's got to get it taken care of here in a hurry. And boy, Mantella made that. He's tried that before, Cal, into 14. And the problem is it can kill your run up the hill if you get it wrong.
Yeah, look at this. But look at the 07 car. He's got to run as well. Max Riddle is coming to the front.
Now, Riddle's actually gone around Aschenbach. And it tells you the pace that he has. Here's a look at what happened to Gottsacker, Cal.
Yeah, just
He
gets
got a little
wrong.
help. Did he? Nope, I guess he didn't.
No, I think he was by himself there. Barkey was certainly in his mirrors, so it may have distracted him a little bit, but Tony Gaples goes through as well. But right up front, Sandberg looking good.
He does indeed, with DeBoer second still, and Jeff Courtney now up into third. We'll be right back. All right, folks, with you here now on the web once again. Wow, what a action-packed few moments there. And Riddle just got passed into turn number 5 by Mantella. Now he gets to the inside, and I thought he was going to get through, and Mantella having none of that, and was able to stay in front of Riddle into turn 6. This is a good little a little battle here, and it's for what, 6th and 7th and 8th?
Oh, Stacy in pit lane. The man who made up a bundle of points here yesterday with the 3 championship leaders having problems.
That is tough. And they're going to the hood. Never a good sign. A pit stop in general in this sprint format means you're probably out of any kind of a hunt for a good finish, but when the hood goes up, that's worse still. Francis hanging on in front of Buford, and Mantella, after finding himself with a pass and repass on Riddle, has been able to drive away. We just got a report from the pits for Stacy. It's an overheating issue.
Tell you who's got a fine race car today is Jeff Courtney. He's laid down the fastest lap of this race, the only man in the 2:19 range, a 2:19.6. Sandberg's fastest lap is a 2:20 flat, so he is coming after those leaders right now. He's cleared Francis and company. He's found a bit of a gap as this battle continues to enthrall everyone here. Anthony and Mantella doing a really great job. I think his teammate kind of sparked him yesterday in terms of having that podium run and a front row start today. He said, well, if he can do it, having the same setup, I can do the same thing.
And we saw that earlier this year, didn't we? I think it was at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park where Barkey was just flying in the first race, and Mantella said, I got to step up, and did. It's going to be interesting here now. Buford to the inside. Is the inside enough? Ernie dancing on the brakes down into 1.
Yeah, I think this is really hurting. So if this race stays green, Buford's got a lot of ground to catch up to those leaders now. These guys are some 10 seconds back.
Well, you know, one thing that we've known about Ernie Francis from when he showed up in his touring car as a wee lad, quite literally, is the kid's got car control, no question. But yeah, I mean, right now he's just backing them all up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an amazing talent, and I think he's kind of getting more out of that Mustang than it really should be giving today, quite honestly. Buford now to the inside, slides it down there. Once you get there, you just want to establish yourself, keep the guy out there to the right-hand side to your flank, and you do what you need to do to get the exit speed off of that corner so you secure that position by turn 6.
Now, Buford in front. Let's see what he'll be able to do in Ernie's mirrors. Now, look at this. Riddle had fallen way back and then suddenly just runs right back up on the back of Mantella. This has been very seesaw. He's brought Aschenbach and Heckert, the red number 54s, in right with him.
Well, just like we saw yesterday, Greg, in the first round of the GTS races here this weekend at Road America, just sensational battles throughout. Just blankets covering little groups of cars. It's really fun to watch. And Mantella, you can see there that crossbow really working well through the carousel.
He was toying with an outside pass there for a minute. Then I think he realized maybe that's not quite the thing to do here. But yeah, I mean, look at how much room he's got and doesn't lose an inch of ground through the kink. That crossbow right now is stuck.
It is, but you can see that the Aston Martin does have a little bit of a straightaway advantage. It's certainly strong in the brake zones as well. And Teller there protecting that inside line. Aschenbach right there.
Heckert in that second sin in the mix as well. There's Buford. He is starting to drive away. We kind of expected that, certainly.
We're curious to, not this lap, he had to clear the traffic, but on the next lap to see what sort of fast lap he can lay down compared to the leaders to see if he has the potential to close.
And you know who's making up some ground here is Martin Barkey. He's put in a couple of really good laps. He's running laps right now about a half second faster than the people he's racing at this point. And he's starting to make some inroads into this group. See him there second to the last car in this train. But he's moving along, and Riddle has gone around now and made the pass on Ernie Francis.
Good news is that Dollarhide, they've done a fix on that Lotus to the suspension, got him back out there in the goal. Right now, they just to get 50% of the race done, so you will collect some points. That's what hurt Aschenbach yesterday. Couldn't get the laps in, and he couldn't get a fast lap in to set a grid position either with that early problem.
The top three here at Road America have settled in, but the battle is a strong one for fourth. Jade Buford now has gone around Ernie Francis. Max Riddle has followed him through, and Anthony Montella trying an outside move, gets way hot into that turn and managed to hang on to it, but dropped back behind Lawson Aschenbach. And we've seen, while we were in break, a couple of repasses in this battle. This is furious stuff, Cal.
It's fantastic action, and Anthony Montella got a little bit optimistic there into the brake zone. He got up on the outside curve on the approach, couldn't get it well down, made the corner, but that allowed Aschenbach to take a very important position away from him.
And you may also be wondering, there was a bright green Mustang in this mix when we went to break. What happened? Well, Nate Stacey, apparently a problem, and has made the call into pit lane. And that he had a huge gain in the points with the way things unfolded yesterday, and now struggling here. Report is overheating. That's a tough break, no question about it. But for Sandberg, boy, he is doing everything he needed to do. And I think Brett is absolutely tired of having anybody around him on the racetrack, because things happen, and he has just said, I'm going to settle this on my own. 2.5 seconds last time at start finish, might even be bigger now.
And now 6 poles, 7 fastest laps now, and just 1 strike in the win column. So he needs to put that to bed here today and get another one. He's going to try and get a grip on this championship, because Aschenbach isn't going to go away. There's going to be better racetracks for that Camaro than Road America, so he's going to be a strong challenger throughout the course of the season.
And I think what we were talking about, Cal, the tire dig on the back of that breathless racing Mustang.
The tires are breathless right now.
They totally are, as Heckert now comes up alongside. It's a pretty even drag race down the straight. He's got the inside going into one, and Ernie will fight for every inch he can, but eventually he just has to give way. And now we'll see if Lawson in that heavy Camaro, a lot of power in that Black Dog machine, but it's got some weight, and so he is see what he's going to be able to pull off here.
Got a little bit of a balance of performance change on the Camaros. They do lose a little bit of weight before this round of the championship, but he said I'd like a bit more power, a bit more restrictor size than weight off the race car.
And let's see now. There's Lawson as he currently sits in the 8th spot, and then Anthony Montella was mixing it up well into the top 5, had that overshoot at 5. We'll see whether he is going to be able to come back.
Oh, spin there, Glennon, I think. I think Glennon may have gone around on the exit to turn 5, possibly. He's disappeared from the action.
Yeah, he sure has.
There he is.
Boy, good catch, Cal. Trying to get it restarted. And that Champ Automotive Premier Coffee and Mike Ward Maserati. He loves driving this car.
Just
see
watch
we catch
here.
it
You'll
here.
see it right at the end of the shot. That was strange.
Weird.
The car didn't look like it was loaded to be like a tank slapper at that stage of the game.
Wonder if, you know, those
Yeah,
curbing.
he's pulled off. There's something broken, I would think,
broke
on that car. To make the car, he was basically straight coming out of the corner when it suddenly went to the right.
Yeah, well, it looked like there it is.
Right rear corner.
It looked like when he hit some of those those white things are very, very abrupt, and I think he clocked one, and then I saw a puff of smoke, and then the car just snapped sideways. So I think you're absolutely right. It just broke, and that's when you're, that's the risk you take running those curbs.
Well, better there than one of the high-speed sections.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, that car could have been severely damaged. But we've seen it this weekend. I mean, talking to Lawson Oschenbach, he said, we had no idea where our suspension failed yesterday. So maybe it's running these curbs and the high compression loading that we have around here is causing these suspensions to kind of run into failure mode.
Absolutely. As Lawson, you're just talking about him here, remains in that battle between Ernie Francis right now and Anthony Mantella. Heckert has cleared them, and Heckert now up into 6th. Francis 7th, Oschenbach, Mantella. And then, of course, with Clennan's spin, that should promote Martin Barkey now up into the top 10. It's a pretty good comeback run.
It's a great comeback run. We're not sure if the car is 100% healthy with the hit. Obviously, he and Dollarhide were going side by side into turn 6, so it may have been the right side of Barkey's car that suffered some damage. Could have just tweaked the suspension. Who knows? Maybe it's perfect, but he's making a great run back through the field nonetheless.
That he is. And here is Max Riddle. You have a look there, sitting in the 5th spot. And then behind him comes Heckert, Francis, Oschenbach, Mantella, and Barkey. But up front, it remains Brett Sandberg with up now to 3.3 seconds in hand over yesterday's winner, Derek DeBoer, and a very rapid Jeff Courtney in the Maserati. Stay with us. All right, back with you here on our global webcast. Boy, Brett Sandberg is looking good, but watch this. Another look at what happened, and right there. See that, Cal?
Yeah, look at that. Something broke on the right rear corner of Clennan's machine there, and look at the evasive action. I think this Parker Chase may be sliding to the inside there, just missing him.
Yeah, something clearly snapped. You could just see the way the car reacted, and Clennan doing everything he can to try and get that car into a safe spot and have it in a position where we don't have to go full course caution. And so far, the officials like where he parked it, and we stay green. And that means that this race continues. Obviously, DeBoer, Courtney, and the gang would sure love to see a quick caution. They don't want to lose too much of it here. But Brett Sandberg is liking the flow right now. And Oschenbach has just not been able to do anything yet with Ernie Francis.
Well, Francis keeps digging. He's hanging on. He's made every position tough. I mean, not in terms of driving over the line, in terms of getting to the dirty stage. But Oschenbach, that's a late move. Slides it to the inside. It's going to be a drag race up this main straightaway. Ernie Francis comes back on. I'm not sure if he clipped Mantella there. That was tight.
That was tight indeed. Mantella pouncing as well. And Barkey, I think he had a little target fixation behind, was just watching what was going on. And he drove almost completely off the track. Or that may have been a flinch because he was right behind Clennan when he spun, and he may have thought, no, not again. Oh, look at that. Just motor there, wasn't it? That got Francis right back around Mantella.
It did, and Oschenbach is really having to work hard here. Every position, it's not coming easy. He said to me yesterday after qualifying for the first round of the championship, he says, here we see Courtney. He has caught Derek DeBoer. This is a battle for second position.
Yeah, the last lap for DeBoer was a 2:21.1 and Courtney a 2:19.7. That's a couple of tenths off of the fast lap of the race, which he also owns, Cal.
Yeah, I'd have to think that Derek must have had a little bobble somewhere around this racetrack. I don't think the car has fallen off in terms of pace that much because he seems to be running okay right now. What a performance by Jeff Courtney.
Oh, talked to him earlier. I mean, he loves this track. He knows it so well, being his home track. He's from Milwaukee. He's got great support from Kenda Tire and Rec Stuff and a great group. But he said this Maserati, and with the way that I know this track, I really think we have a shot at something here. And boy, is he showing it.
This is where the car should really be good. Long wheelbase really makes it more stable for these long duration corners. And that bobble, those 2 seconds that Derek DeBoer lost, has really opened up the gap for Sandberg up front. Now it's over 4 seconds.
And here's a look back to Jade Buford. Jade's been running, 220s, low 220s, so not as quick as we thought he might be able to go here.
Just took him too long to get to the front today. He displayed great patience, and certainly the guys in front of him were doing a great job holding him back there, but he's just lost that precious ground right now.
Great section of racetrack here from the kink down in the corner. This will be interesting.
Yep.
Mantella and Barkey.
Anthony's kind of established. That's his line into that corner. He does it pretty much 90% of the laps. He takes that inside lane. So once you're doing that and establish yourself early, there's nothing that's going to get you in trouble with the stewards. It's when you react to someone, do a late move in terms of more like a blocking that they'll actually call it on you.
And looking here, it looks like Heckert may have a bit of a run on Riddle. That's the battle for the 5th spot in the championship as they go up the hill, and then these guys behind having their own strong show. Nope, Riddle, a little bit too much motor there by the time they got into turn 1.
That's an ebb and flow with all of these different manufacturers represented in the GTS class this year in terms of where they develop performance. Some into the brake zone, some through the middle of the corner, some down the straightaway.
And here we go again, Courtney. Well, I'll tell you, that section of track, that run out of 3 down into 5.
Really deep in there. Really in that brake zone. The turn 5 did the same thing yesterday, just demonstrating that he's got a lot of confidence on the brake pedal. That seems to be moving around a little bit, but it's still got the grip to hit the apex.
But somehow Courtney just gets out of turn 3 apparently incredibly well, because that run he puts together to the Marine sweep, he is always right on the tail end of the board here. Now out of turn 8, and Courtney now needs to get that kind of a run through the carousel and then through this section of track they call Kettle Bottoms, which is the exit of the carousel, all the way down into Canada Corner. He's closer this time, Cal.
He is. Oh, there's a move by Mantella down into turn 8. Nice move there on Ernie Francis Jr. for the 8th position.
And we get a report from the pit lane that for Nate Stacey, it's a struggle today. Water temps soaring at this stage, and he's just out there way off the pace, being very mindful of his mirrors. And after that great closing in the points he managed yesterday, he's just trying to now preserve a few at this stage.
We've had a few engine issues. Oh! Ernie Francis, well done, that boy. He's got some fast hands.
He does. And I tell you, that's what, 2nd time at least we've seen him a little bit sideways in the kink. Here we go. Courtney trying to figure out where can I get up alongside.
He is on the
Derek
prowl,
DeBoer, isn't he?
And I tell you what, Derek's putting up a fierce fight here, because I think if Courtney had clear road, he may be able to catch our leader a little bit, Brett Sandberg. Dollar Height back out there. They've repaired that Lotus, got him back out there to score some points today. It's not for position.
And, you know, you got to feel for Scott Dollar Height and their team. They've had so much happen this year. They keep coming back. The report is, as awesome as car as that Lotus is, it's not the easiest to work on, just the way it's packaged a little bit. And that team has done everything they possibly can, and something always just seems to happen as he goes there. But now this is where we've seen Courtney get these tremendous runs on DeBoer.
We're now getting at the strength of Derek DeBoer, which is the brake zone, or stop tech brake zone. How deep he can take this car in. Amazing. This is a good car length there. He's stretching to the apex. When he gets through there nice and clean.
With that ABS, I mean, you can just stand on the pedal right to the apex, and if you've got confidence to do that, and he's figured out how to drive it, it's pretty effective.
It really is. I mean, the chassis, the balance, the dynamic is still going to be what it is with the weight transfer moving to the front. I think that's why the rear kind of dances around on him. I mean, it's not going to arrest your speed. You go in there 20 miles an hour too quick, then you're going to miss the corner.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? But it's going to stop the brakes from locking when you're kind of in the right sweet spot in terms of the zone of what sort of speed you can manage the apex at.
And here we go now. Courtney Boyce is as close as we've seen him. Can he? Well, that's just a feint right there. That's not really, you don't attack going into the kink.
Yeah, probably be better just to stay on line there and set him up to try and get through the kink a little bit better, be in position for the corner.
Yeah, look what he lost there. Unless, you know, hearing what's going on with Stacey and Temps, I wonder if, you know, when Jeff gets right up behind DeBoer and he's really hunting like that, if suddenly he isn't getting some spike in the Temps.
That's possible.
Boy, right now, this battle, though, has Sandberg clear by 6 seconds.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent with his pace from sort of like mid-19s to high 20s throughout the course of this race, our leader. But here comes Courtney. He's not worried about engine temps right now. If he does have an issue, he is tucked right under the rear bumper of the Aston Martin.
And right there, that's where that Aston just seems to be able to breathe that much longer on throttle, and it gives him just enough, doesn't it?
It does, and I think the makeup of this circuit kind of helps a car that has the advantage there in terms of stretching a little bit, has good braking ability as well, so there's no weak spot there. Courtney seems to have the speed in the wrong places in comparison to DeBoer in terms of making a move.
And Buford's last lap was a 1.5 seconds quicker than DeBoer and Courtney's. Problem is, is that he's got a long way to make up yet. Still some 5+ seconds on these guys. And here we go again. You know where you are on the track. When Courtney's that close, it's into turn 5.
You know why Derek is kind of, taking that shallow angle to the corner. So it's really hurting his exit speed there. I think he should be able to notice that, I've got the advantage into the brake zone, so he should be able to brake more on the normal racing line and get a bigger, wider entry to that corner and not sacrifice his exit speed quite as much.
I wonder if he's just, as you said, trying to establish that line, so if he ever has to suddenly go there, he can say, no, I've been running it the whole time.
Right. It's just, he stretches a good car length there in the last sort of like 300 feet of the straightaway, and then he's got an advantage on the brake pedal, so I think he could run his normal line there, and Jeff probably wouldn't have the ability to get underneath him.
There goes Sandberg, and here comes DeBoer. That's your margin, and now they're going to be coming up on the back of Dolomite. Can Courtney use Scott as a little bit of a pick? And Scott answers that question with a very gentlemanly move.
Yeah, got through the King quickly. You don't want to just slow down in the middle of the King. Got through there and then immediately pulled over to the right-hand side, which is cool. Sometimes when you're following right tight behind another car, Greg, just finding that apex of the kink, you can't see it.
Right.
And there's a really high-speed corner, and you've really got to hit your marks there.
All right, folks, we're going to pause. We'll be back with our CBS Sports call in just a second. Welcome back, everybody, and look at this. Finally, Jeff Courtney, who's been looking and hunting, has gotten a way to find to the inside of Derek DeBoer in the battle for second down
yet.
One.
Derek keeps hanging there to the outside. He's been strong on the brakes all day long, but Courtney, a brilliant move, just clears him. What will Derek DeBoer do here? He's got the strength down the second half of the straightaway. We've got a stop-tech braking zone coming up next. Through turn 3, down the Moraine sweep, but what an exit speed by Jeff Courtney. That may be enough.
Boy, I'll tell you, he has been battling. Well, we were in break a couple of times. He got to the outside of DeBoer, but was not able to get it done. Finally got to the inside, made it work, and we were speculating while we were in break, Cal, if he gets to the lead, we'll be able to open it up a little bit. Looks like he can. Meanwhile, Parker Chase limping. Something broken at the back of that car.
How many cars have we seen with rear suspension damage this weekend?
Yeah, see, we can see what happened here coming down into Canada corner.
Well, there was contact there, so that's probably what ultimately broke his with Barkey.
I think he had lost it, though, before he got in. Watch.
He was in there deep, but I think there was also contact. See if we can get a closer shot at this, whether the suspension broke that caused the sideways moment for Parker Chase, or whether there was a clip there with the left rear. It would have been that left rear corner if he did hit Barkey.
Here's the first replay again. Watch. It looks like he's sideways.
Yeah, he's sideways, taking it in there deep.
And then he hits him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I'd be leaning towards failure first.
I think so too, yeah. And of course he had that run into the gravel yesterday. That was just a spin off into the gravel, but this was definitely a breakage. And he did get into the side of Barkey, and now they're working on the right rear corner of that car as well. Boy, from a tremendous run yesterday for Martin Barkey, this has just been a struggle today.
But this man is doing exactly what he needed to do. Get the jump at the start, have a good clean standing start, have a good clean first lap, establish a gap, and then control this motor race and hope that his closest competitor in the championship does not get too far up. Lawson Archenbach did everything he needed to do on the opening lap, getting halfway through the field, but since that time, not much progress. He sits in the 8th position.
And Jeff Courtney has just reset fast lap now to 2:19.5, and he has driven away from Derek DeBoer. And DeBoer now is going to have to be paying a little attention to his mirrors, as that red Sin R1 GT4 of Jade Buford will be coming along. But while things have calmed down just a minute, we want to remind you that if you are like us and are big fans of this series, and we understand if you are, well, if you want to know what's going on in the middle of the week, or maybe catch up on something you missed, social media gives you the opportunity. First place to go always is the Pirelli World Challenge site at world-challenge.com. There you can see great video content, including links to the live broadcast. You can also go to Facebook, just search the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page, or on Twitter, just look for the handle @WC Racing. And for all things racing, take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand, which includes the archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races. And you can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. And if you're a fan of ANSA and KTM Crossbows and Brett Sandberg, you're going to want to watch this one over again.
This is going to be a big race here because Courtney is definitely coming after Sandberg. The gap across the stripe the last time was 4.8 seconds, but in the first sector alone, Courtney has taken 0.8 of a second out of Sandberg's lead.
Yeah, with those laps that he's throwing down have been spectacular. Now, Heckert, last time by, just actually pipped him for fast lap of the race at a 2:19.563, but in terms of consistent mid-219s, Courtney's been the guy.
Yeah, and he just displayed great patience in making the move on Derek DeBoer.
Speaking of Derek, look at this now, Cal, as Buford has caught Derek DeBoer, and this is what we watched at the end of yesterday's race for a large chunk of it here.
Through the second sector, Sandberg takes 0.2 back on Courtney. So net gain so far on this lap is about 0.6. So it could be tight around the 4-second mark when we get to the stripe. Derek takes the inside line there. Buford does the undercut. Can he out-accelerate him to turn 13? He clears him. Nice move.
Yeah, he just was on the throttle so much sooner, wasn't he, with the way he drove that corner. He went clearly by Derek DeBoer.
12.5 minutes to go, Greg. Let's see what that gap is at the top of the charts right now. Sandberg continues to lead, but Courtney is coming hard.
He is indeed. So that changes the dynamic as Jade Buford now into second, but there is your leader. Brett Sandberg stabilized the attack, at least for a moment, on Jeff Courtney. And then Jade Buford sits in third with that margin under 4 seconds between Sandberg and Courtney. And we are going to pause for just a moment here at Road America, but we'll be back for what we hope will be, and we expect to be, an exceptional finish here at the Grand Prix of Road America, presented by Cadillac. All right, folks, back with you here on our webcast, just having a little chat with our producers. And Derek DeBoer had that tremendous run yesterday, and now he is slipped back into the 5th spot at this stage as Heckert has gone by him as well. But behind them, there's another about 6-second gap or thereabouts back to the next group of Max Riddle and Anthony Mantella and Lasse Aschenbach sitting there in 8th. And Lawson, looking at the times he's running, slightly quicker last lap than Mantella.
Yeah, I think for Lawson Aschenbach right now, I think maybe position 6 would be the max he can really get out of this race unless we see some drama in these last 10 minutes or so. Mantella's 2 seconds up the road, and then Riddle about a further second. So maybe Aschenbach, that should be his goal right now, which would be a good day. Starting at the very back, even though his the guy he's now chasing in the championship, Brett Sandberg, leads. Aschenbach, he's a very savvy driver, 4 Pirelli World Challenge Championships behind him, including 2 in this class.
And he's a remarkable talent, but just not sure he's got the weapon today. That's just how it is here.
Courtney looks closer.
Boy, he sure does. Yeah.
Have a look. Yes, it is. From 3.9 down to 3.1 seconds. Will he have enough time? At the rate he's going, it's going to be really close.
Boy, isn't it? And Buford, Heckert has, look at that, a 2:19.2 by Scott Heckert. Now, fast lap of the race by a bunch, and he has reeled in his pro teammate, Jade Buford, here. So Scott Heckert proving to be a bit of a revelation this year, isn't he?
He really is. He hasn't had the best of opening laps across the board of these two races this weekend, but he's shown tremendous pace. He was very fast in practice, had good qualifying run going, and then just got pipped in the last few minutes for the pole.
And I mean, at Barber, on his debut weekend, when Buford had that issue installed at the start, Heckert darn near won the thing. So
getting really deep on his teammate. Took a car length or 2 out of the gap there. I think there's a lot of these drivers in this championship, Greg, are really starting to fine-tune their racecraft. I think there's a lot of rookies in this form of competition, and I think it's going to be sensational. Each weekend seems to get better and better in terms of guys showing the poise and the discipline to run one of these 50-minute races.
And it may be a 50-minute sprint, but you still need racecraft. There's no question about that.
What a beautiful sight that is. Those cars are so pretty to have them running together through one of the most awesome corners in North America, the carousel.
And now line of stern, folding it into the kink. Look at that. Buford more aggressive on his turn in, and Heckert
really
very
late.
smooth.
Heckert is certainly smooth, but he's got a great teammate there to learn from. Even though Jade is relatively young, he's got a lot of experience now in this sort of competition.
Boy, and his speed is unquestioned. What was it? I don't remember. A few years back in the Grand Sport class and in the series, I think he had 7 to 10 poles or something like that. I mean, his speed is just exceptional.
He seems to have that ability just to really turn it on for a single lap in qualifying, which is a real art. A lot of people are great drivers, can tick a lot of the boxes, but wringing a car's neck and getting that extra few tenths out. There's some guys who really seem to be able to step up and do that and put it all on the line.
Let's take a look here now. Sandberg was able to get a little bit back on Courtney by about, what, 3/10?
He was. Maybe he's just controlling things, hearing the gap. He can see the gap now, though, with Courtney in terms of just being 3 seconds back. Look at his rearview mirror and see where he is exactly.
Out of turn 3. These two beautiful Sin R1s.
I say a rearview mirror. I don't think there is one on that crossbar. I think it was a camera system.
It's a camera. Same with the Sin, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was talking with John Marocchi, look at this. Heckert's getting a little bit of a run. He's been deep on the brakes here before, and he does it again, Cal.
He does. Beautiful job. This is a nice race for Scott Heckert right now. Moves him into the 3rd position. His teammate had a podium here yesterday.
Now, getting back to what we were talking about, when I was talking to John Marocchi, we were over there and had another peek inside the cockpit of these cars, and it's just they're as functional and interesting inside as they are beautiful and fast on the outside. And you're absolutely right. There's that huge engine intake cowl right where you would normally be looking for the rearview mirror. So there's actually an LED camera display, if you will, sitting up there, and you can see the little camera at the back of the car. So. And actually, talking to a couple of guys, they said, in particular, I think it was Martin Barkey. He said, when we stepped into these cars, he said that was something just to get used to, because it's just the visual, the way that looks, is different.
Yes,
it isn't what you see in a mirror, and you just have to adjust.
Yep. I think that's what we're seeing through the course of this season. Teams, drivers adjusting to this new line of equipment, but. We keep saying it, Greg. I mean, this GTS class has just exploded with the GT4 cars, and it's been a great step in the right direction, I think, in terms of the future of the class.
In a way, this has sort of been the weekend of the hometown favorites, hasn't it? You can take a look at the GT racing and the sweep there for the Acuras of real-time racing based in Saukville, and now this run by Jeff Courtney out of Milwaukee with a huge group of folks on hand here from his locally based sponsors. Kenda, Rec Stuff.
That comes down by just a tenth, so it seems like Sandberg is controlling things at that 3.5 second margin right now. Heckert a further 4.5 seconds behind. Montella holds on to that 7th spot ahead of Lawson Archenbach. Archenbach seems to be fading a little bit. He's now 4 seconds back from Anthony Montella.
He had to work so hard in the early going, didn't he, just to try and get up and into some sort of a point position. Ooh, look at this, a little bit of close stuff. That was Mantella and DeVore, I think.
There's been a switch here. The two Aston Martins have traded positions, and now Mantella's starting to make a move on Derek DeVore. There's an issue on that Aston Martin, but he's certainly not shown the strength late in the going like he did yesterday. Mantella will try the undercut, but I don't think he's going to have the acceleration up the hill to make it stick.
Brett Sandberg, the KTM crossbow from Ensa Motorsports. What a wicked-looking machine that is. Continues to lead. Courtney in second. And here is the battle for third, and it is a Sin R1, but it's not the one that was in third when we went to break. The young gun in the team, Scott Heckert, the newbie in the team, and look at this pass he made for that position.
Well, he took a huge chunk out of the gap between he and his teammate on the previous lap down in Rostov Tech brake zone, and this time he puts it right to the inside. Beautiful clinical move. And then the two Sens run line astern now, trying to chase down the two leaders, but I think they're too far adrift to really make a move for the lead in the win today.
And you saw that green machine of Nate Stacy right in the mix. Of course, he's been having some overheating issues, been in and out of the pits, and so he did a nice job of just getting out of the way. And now Buford just trying to hang on to it here, but very impressed with Scott Heckert. This is a guy who did some karting, but when he decided to go racing, he decided to go and do some roundy round racing and did some K&N racing out on the East Coast. Then they went to a couple of road courses and he won. And he went, oh boy, I want to do more of this. And
that's exciting when you're racing cars and you try a new discipline, whether it's a new series, new type of race car, or road course versus ovals, and you like it. It's like, wow, there's a whole new element to racing that I didn't know about.
And he certainly has been a quick study. When you lay a pass like that on Jade Buford, and I said, Heckert, the young gun on the team, well, Jade's not exactly ancient by any means. He's pretty young, too, and we know how just incredibly quick Buford is. And for Heckert to be able to do that, that's impressive stuff. But Sandberg, we see that margin now. If you're looking at the times, it's down to 2.7, but I think he knows exactly what he's got in hand right now. We've seen that stretch and compress just a little bit by a few tenths here and there. I think he's in management mode.
He's basically got about a lap and a half to go. I think we're going to see the white flag potentially at the end of this lap. It's going to be tight. Certainly for Courtney, he'd love to see one extra lap, give him a bit more time. But what a performance. Just beautiful drive here by Jeff Courtney. He's got to be enjoying life right now. The Maserati's handling perfectly. He's done a brilliant job. And on home turf, I'm sure he's got some family and friends here this weekend. This is a cool drive.
Sort of been a home story here this weekend in GT, the sweep by the Acuras of real-time racing, and for Ryan Eversley, and now Jeff Courtney's run. But Brett Sandberg, he has got this one, it seems, under control right now, but there is still a lap and a third left.
Courtney loves that first sector here around Road America. He took another 6/10 out of Sandberg's lead. See what Sector 2 provides. Oh, Sandberg gets it back. He gets half a second back in Sector 2, so there's an ebb and flow, again, with where these cars have strengths and weaknesses around Road America.
That's been part of the challenge of the balancing act that the tech department has to do. They make speed differently, and they've got them pretty close to, at the end of a lap, they would be together, but how they get there is a little bit differently. And now getting there and looking at that white flag, there it is for Brett Sandberg. One more lap to go. And this is what he needed in terms of his championship points battle with the struggles for Lasse and Aschenbach sitting back in 8th today. This could be the breakout maybe for Brett Sandberg. But Jeff Courtney not giving up quietly. 2.6 seconds the deficit. That's a lot to make up in one lap without some help.
It is, but this is where his car is strong through this first sector. He'll probably eat into that lead a little bit here as they head down towards turn 5. But then Sandberg's car is really good from 5 all the way through turn 8 in the carousel.
The blast down the Moraine sweep. Extremely quick section of this track. Now into the Stop Tech braking zone. Steeply downhill. It doesn't really look it from that camera shot, but that is amazing how downhill that falls. So gravity not helping you at all on the brakes. Up and under the bridge.
It's consistent. Another 6/10 out of the lead by Jeff Courtney. The gap is now right around 2 seconds. There he is. He is closer, but this is where Sandberg shines through these corners.
Yeah, he definitely is a little bit closer, isn't he?
I really believe that Courtney could have cleared that traffic, that battle he's embroiled in, a little bit sooner. He may have had enough to catch Sandberg, but again, until you talk to the drivers afterwards, how much management did Brett have in terms of just controlling the gap?
It looked to me in that last run through turn 8 there that Courtney may have charged in just a little bit too much. And it may have cost him a little bit on the exit because it looks like he's dropped back just a little bit. Sandberg, very fluid through the kink here. Yeah, he's opened that up.
He hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, he hasn't.
All day. It's been the perfect drive and the one he was looking for. He needed an event without drama.
It's just one, please.
Been a few events where it's just been crazy.
Here he comes, last time out of Canada Corner up through Billy Mitchell Bend. And heading up toward turn 14 and the last time climb up toward the checkered flag here. Onto the front straight we go. Jeff Courtney as close as he possibly could be, but it's not enough. Brett Sandberg and the KTM Crossbow win at Road America in round 12 of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship. And there comes Courtney. He'd love to win. I think he'll be elated with second as well. And then it should be Scott Heckert able to come through and hang on to that third and final spot on the podium. And there are the celebrations by the ANSA Motorsports team. Well earned indeed. So Sandberg on his cool down lap. We're going to step away. We'll come back and we will hear from our round 12 winner here at the Road America Grand Prix presented by Cadillac, and a thumbs up from your combatant in second place. Class stuff. All right, back with you here on our web feed. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. We appreciate it immensely, always, as you tune in and make this a part of your viewing. We appreciate it greatly. We want to remind everybody that the coverage that you can see, if you want to join in and see what the CBS Sports Network show turns into, July 3rd at 3 p.m., something to DVR maybe and play during your July 4th celebrations if you're big Pirelli World Challenge GT fans. It'll be 3 p.m. July 3rd, and of course these are all Eastern time. The touring car race, which as we saw earlier in the weekend, will be July 7th at 8 p.m. And immediately following that on July 7th at 9 p.m. will be the coverage of GTS on CBS Sports. Next rounds of the championship, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. If you happen to be there at the end of July in that area, up by Lexington and Mansfield, Ohio, come see us. We'd love to have you there. Thanks so much for joining us on the web, and we'll see you next time.